Hey everybody, it's Bargin. Today we're going to be doing a review on a game called Heroes of Hammerwatch 2. This happens to be one of my favorite games to play with my friends. This game was released on January 14th, 2025 through the publisher of Team 17 and developer Crackshell. I started playing this game last year and I only ran into one bug in the game which caused my paladin, when he recruited undead mercenaries, they would actually look like they were purged from the game. Was pretty funny. I actually, for the longest time, thought that was just part of the game because it kind of thematically made sense that the paladin would banish the undead. And then I realized that, no, that was just a glitch. But yeah, that's the only bug that I ran into through the entire time playing the game, which is pretty impressive. But moving on. As of right now, they are currently playing under the build 126. Which is leading to their new expansion coming out July 28th, which will add a bunch of different things like a new class and a bunch of other goodies, so I'm very excited. I definitely plan on playing the new expansion when it comes out, and I will play it enough hours until I feel like I get a good comfort with it, and then I'll put out another review on that one as well. Moving on to gameplay and mechanics. So for the controls, in this game, they're the classic WASD to move, and your mouse is your character's direction that they're facing, so it's kind of like their head. Left click and right click is to use the abilities on your weapons, while Q and E uses your class's abilities. So if you're playing a warlock, you might shoot a beam or drop a summoning circle that will explode and do damage later on, but you get the idea. For the camera, this is going to be fixed on the top-down view, looking at your character. Now, this is something that can be changed in the settings. You can adjust how far or how close you kind of have it zoomed in on your character, with your character being in the middle of the screen. Dissecting the game a little bit, this game is a roguelite dungeon crawler with an RPG mechanics for character progression along with account progression. The game loop of the game is that you are a character that will go on an adventure to defeat enemies, get loot and bring back resources to assist with a town that is struggling to survive. If you die in the game, you will lose everything but equipment you gained and the levels your character gets on the way. So constant upgrades are always around if you look hard enough. The game has lots of layers to the loop that you'll be playing with. Just to name a few, is your character level, stats, equipment, resources, town buffs, and account buffs. These are all things that you'll be working as you go along with your adventures to make your character more powerful, along with the buffs that you will be implementing via town buildings to help your character out. A run should go around about 1 hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours by yourself. Shorter if you take the shortcuts that are in the game. You can get these shortcuts by beating bosses, and then when you go to replay, the shortcuts are always there, and you can kind of do them. The downside to doing the shortcuts is that there is a in-game buff that you get from equipment that you find in the game as you're doing a run. These items that you find, you'll pick them up, and it'll give you a description of what they are. And most of the time they'll be in a set of 5, so it'll be like 1 of 5, and the more you pick up, the more you will complete the set that will give you buffs to make your character stronger. So the downside to the shortcuts is the quicker you burst through the game, the less of these little trinkets and equipment you pick up, which will make the game harder. So you have to decide for yourself if that's worth it, or if you'd rather just go the safe route and pick up all these items and just crush the game. Co-op in this game, again, highly recommend the co-op. And speaking strictly of time, which is what I originally was talking about, that will make the game a little bit longer. But I think that's just because you're having more fun. You're not really blitzing through the game as much as you would be if you were playing by yourself. So to each their own, play however you want. I highly recommend playing with a friend. Graphics and art style. They use a modern pixel art style that is reminiscent of the old 16-bit games of the past. To achieve the art style, they use verticality and lighting to give the game more depth. So when you look, it creates more of a 3D image. They also have a physics engine to help with the immersion. Having a lot of breakable items in the game that will explode and throw debris everywhere helps make the game feel more alive and lived in. The red mist left behind while you're mowing down enemies on the screen also helps drag you in. Audio and sound design. Heroes of Hammerwatch 2 shifted sound design from their previous titles to more of a background noise and less of a in-your-face sound. What I mean by this is that the previous games were much louder and more of a battle music sound, whereas in this game is more in line with you're on an adventure, shifting back to battle music during boss fights. The music shifts depending on what zone you're in via outside crypts or dungeons. The music reminds me a lot of the old style of the 90s with the 8-bit chiptunes. The game soundtrack has a very nostalgic feeling that is definitely worth it listen to for older and younger gamers. Progression and pacing. Hammerwatch has a wonderful pace set by a constant drive to make everything around you better. The townspeople need to rebuild and you're here for it. While adventuring, you are gathering stone, metal, money, and equipment along with unlocking other classes by finding them in the maps. Every time you leave the town, you set the game's difficulty with what meta supplies and things you will bring. This is a feature that unlocks more as you play. Examples are one bonus ability your character starts with, food, drink buffs, and all the way to customizing your run with bonuses that you pay for with money and resources. While out there, remember, this game is a roguelite. If you die, you lose everything but your equipment and level. The developers do offer one mercy though, a bird that shows up randomly, that will take half your supplies that you found on the maps back to town. Me and my friends have dubbed this the Thunder Cougar Falcon Bird from Futurama. If you make it out alive, your supplies will go back to town with whatever you found and can make some upgrades. Some of the things that you can purchase are different buildings, merchants, and equipment. This is not to mention your personal character growth by putting in stat increases, making abilities stronger, along with meta progression allowing you to gain permanent buffs for your account, depending on how high of a level you reach, what class you're playing. I found myself sucked into the progression in this game if you couldn't tell. I love the idea of going from a nothing town to a town you're happy to run around in. Story and value / replayability. In the story, your character is a traveler. While on the road, you stop when you see the road is blocked and you wander down a hill to investigate. You hear someone cry for help. Their town is currently being attacked by cultists. They apparently have made their home nearby and did not like that the town was so close to their base. You dispatch the raiding party and save the people. Your character quickly comes to their aid, offering to help their town and find out what's going on. The story revolves around you going out across several levels, fighting monsters, cultists, and bosses. If you make it all the way to the end, you might just save the town and help rebuild it, or fall during the journey. But that's okay, you can just try again, hopefully being stronger the next time. Replayability. This game is meant to be replayed multiple times. Every time you go out, win or lose, you will come back with equipment, money, and supplies. Upgrade what you can until you beat the game. Once you beat the game, you unlock New Game Plus. This raises the level cap and decreases the resistances, making the game much harder to survive. Before I get into my final thoughts, I just wanted to quickly mention, while making the review for this game, I came across a lot of comments by random people saying that the community for this game is really toxic and that it was a bad experience to play with people online. I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that if you have this kind of experience with pretty much any game, try just playing with your friends. I mean, this game was pretty cheap when I purchased it, and I just knew that I can drag one of my friends into it. So if you have a bad experience with pretty much any game, just try playing with your friends if possible, and I guarantee you're going to have a lot better experience. Playing this game with my friends is the reason why I love this game so much. I love the idea of being able to jump on a game, go on Discord, and chit-chat with my friends, and just space out and murder whatever is on the screen, and focus more on laughing with my friends, and watching their characters die and have to run in and res them, and then I die, and then someone else comes in to try to res me, and we all end up laughing. But it's definitely a good time. I think you guys should try it out. Just like last time, we're going to go over the different categories, assign them the points, and then I will give you my final thoughts at the very end. So first off, gameplay and mechanics. I'm giving this a 2 out of 2. I love the gameplay for this one. The loop kept me hooked for 90 hours or so I have in this game so far. I love playing this game with my friends and always having fun trying to get further and further. Building the town to the max was my favorite part of the game. Mechanics are pretty normal, nothing crazy, which I appreciate. I kind of actually really enjoyed the simplicity of the mechanics of the game because I have several builds where I was actively trying to remove abilities, so that way I had one less keybind to worry about so I can focus more on joking around with my friend. Graphics and art style. For this I gave it 1 out of 2 points. I took a point off for this category because I actually really enjoy the resurgence of these old style games, especially the way the graphics engine handles the spells interacting with the environment and breakable items being oh so satisfying. But at the same time, nothing really blew me away. Audio and sound design. The same, 1 out of 2 points. So for this, I'll start with what I like. The sound when you swing your weapon or cast a spell feel crunchy and are good. The noise when pots break or crates when you smash them is addicting. But the music itself is something I had on during one full playthrough just to see what it was like, and then I immediately turned it off so that I can hear my friends banter back and forth or just listen to my own music. And it definitely wasn't something that I was going to listen to over my own preferences in music, so for that, it's the 1 out of 2. Progression and pacing, 2 out of 2 points. I can't say enough good things about this. I always play this game with friends, and it took a very long time to unlock everything we wanted. This includes multiple characters getting to level 30 and building everything we could in town. The reason for the 2 out of 2 points is simply this. If I was given the chance of getting an expansion right after I finished building everything out in the town, I would have immediately bought that expansion and continued to play. It was that addicting to me. Story and values / replayability, 1 out of 2 points. Story, I would say, is this game's weakest point. The beginning is fine. I love the idea of helping the townspeople, but I wish we got a lot more. Why is there even a cult there? What are they doing? And why do I care beyond helping the people? What other mysteries could there have been? I mean, if you walk around the town, they're kind of just window dressing. They could be giving out quests for rewards, like, hey, go in the dungeon. You know, I had this stolen from me during the raid, and, you know, I want it back, and if you do this, I'll give you money, supplies, and a perk. I feel like this was a really big missed opportunity, and there was so many things that could have made this better and more elaborated on as far as story, especially finding maybe notes inside the dungeon or just a kind of like overall story arc. I felt like the beginning had a decent setup and then you kind of just go through the motions, and I'm not sure if that is a roguelite feature or if that's just a failing of this game. But other than that, where this game shines is replayability. As discussed in previous section, I played this game over and over for many hours with friends, and I ran out of content, which is the only reason I stopped playing. So for the final score, this game gets a 7 out of 10. It was honestly a very surprising experience. I didn't think much of it when I got the game. I was just looking for a game to play with my friends, and it really grew on me very quickly. I was surprised how well and how much I liked all the different mechanics in the game and the different builds that I was coming up with and all the excuses I was coming up with to troll my friends and do dumb things. But I had a blast playing this game, and I really think if you give it a try, you're going to like it, especially if you play with friends and especially if you try the new expansion that's coming out. But guys, that's my review. Again, this is Bargain. Thanks for stopping in and have a great day.